Hello guys, today we're gonna explore about the situations of church and the teleology. Yeah, many churches today are very busy with their programs. They have many programs and activity, but therefore people go to church and serve, also volunteers. But there is a serious problem that the church is busy, but it has no clear directions. That's why church often asks only about what work or how can we get more people.
Yeah.
But they forget to ask that what are we forming people to become? Most churches are not wrong in belief, but they are confused about the purpose. So, what is the difference between being active and being purposeful in church?
Well, like she has said before, of course, the things that the current churches are doing are truly based on the word called active. So that means that many of the churches in the entire world right now are truly based on having this consumer type approaches, especially to the pragmatic areas, of course, integrating technology, flashy trends, and even air cons at some points as well. They are trying to make consumer-based approaches to make the attendees, how do you call it, the participants to be more comfortable and to be what you call consumative in the programs and the activity that they do. So that is truly based on activity, as passively known as active. But purposeful, on the other hand, is truly different. It is based on a teleological approach called having a ultimate end or a truly ultimate purpose that could mean the whole operations at the core of its basis. Or what I mean is that many of the things that you do, and many of the approaches that the current churches do are truly contrasted from it, and the only way to define such thing is through the people that has changed and to be willingly accept Jesus Christ, or to be called Christianity, as their core belief, as their core lifestyle, and to have suffering as their own, as his own causes. So that's what makes them different. Now, on second thought, we have to thought about the, how do you call it, the theological. What is theological? Of course, we have talked about. I've mentioned about it for a long time, and I didn't really discuss about it. So, theology. I have to discuss about it for somehow, and it is based on a historical and some partial elements of modern philosophy elements for a philosophy perspective. Now, that is what we call telos. Telos is based on having to end. The end itself is not a great way, an orthodox activity to know, but what you have to know is that telos, are basically known as teleology, is based on having an ultimate purpose that one should follow through in order to be purposeful to the activities or to the intriguements that one should bring. So, what do you think about that?
I have questions for that. Why is it important to ask what is this for, and not only how does this work?
Yeah. What? Sorry, what?
Why is it important to ask what is this for, and not only how does this work?
Well, it is important because the efforts as well. No, the efforts that why are they doing it? Why are they doing it? It's more important than why are they doing it and what are they doing for is truly important than how can we accomplish this? How can we accomplish that? What can we do to make this happen? This is more important because it's based on a separative approach, as I said before, teleology. Teleology, and when you integrate this into the activity that you do, especially to the church activities, you can get some type of relic that based on true accent of discipleship and what you call spiritual maturity. And if you're based on that, you will tend to ask more about why are we doing this and what is it for. So these will be questioned more than the processes and the ending clauses themselves. So yeah, I think that's it. So can you expand on my ideas about how do you think about the Christian theology? What does the Christian theology mean to you?
Christian theology in Christianity, everything has a purpose.
Yeah.
The main purpose is that the glories of God and live in Christ. But on the other hand, humans are created to know God, to love God, and to become like Christ, and to live for God's kingdoms.
Yeah.
At the same time, this means salvation is not the end, but it is the beginnings of the transformations.
Yeah.
Therefore, question is in what ways can a person becomes more like Christ in their life?
Sorry, could you ask a second because I didn't really hear that actually.
Okay, in what ways
What way?
can a person becomes more like Jesus Christ? Yeah.
Well, if you thought about it, it's truly simple. Now, we can just close it back on the theological and theological perspective. So, when you think about it more thoroughly, you can see that Christianity, to become more Christian-like, you must not stay at home. That is the basic thing. You cannot just I trust in God, so I could just stay here and do nothing at all. So I think that might be not the, orthodox way or ethical way in order to showcase that you know God very well. So that's not a way to propose it. You must go out there and show the world and suffer it like Jesus Christ in order to show that you have matured enough in order to become Christ-like and spread the messages to the world and become more, idealistic, but idealistic in a spiritual maturity, largely enough to surpass and overcome the pragmatic challenges that most churches face. So if you do that, the man or the people or he or her could become he or her become more and more connected to God, to Jesus Christ, and become Jesus Christ-like, and approaches his ways as aligned to it as well. So yeah, I think that's it.
Yes, you mean follow like Jesus Christ's journey.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Okay, go on.
why do we need theology?
So that's the question. That question is truly important as well. So why do we need theology?
Yeah.
Theology. Right? Teleology. We have said before quite some times, but we don't really get to the author. So why we say this is truly simple. Teleology is a great way to showcase that you know the ultimate purpose of things that you do, especially to the eating, of course, to the meals that you eat, and to the spiritual maturity, and to the spiritual prayerships, and to the prayers and the Bible readings that you've done numerous times ago. So these all have meanings, and if you know that truly thoroughly and specifically in depth and maturely, of course, all types of ways, and know that very well, you can get a perfect tone, perfect approach, perfect attitude towards what you do next. So if you do that actually, so now why do we need that? It's because without it, you will be hypnotized and confused by the things. And when the atheists or other types of religious people ask you about your religion and how you do things, you will be dumbfounded and not being able to answer thoroughly and answer spiritually enough to be considered a Christian or to be considered as a Christ follower. And you could be confused in such ways, ambiguous at some point, if you don't know about the teleology and integrate it all together with theology. So this is different because teleology is based on ultimate goals, as I said before, and that is why we need these things. So what about your opinion on why do we need such things?
In my opinions, theology can show the meanings of God's purpose.
Yeah.
And also, without theology, we live without water in life, daily life. Yeah. And when people do not know why they live, there is becomes heavy for their their life.
Okay, yeah.
So that is without theology.
Okay.
Let's jump into the next step: theologies and the church. When the church focus on only programming, they forget to real purpose.
Yeah.
And they only focus on numbers. Numbers becomes more important than people.
Yeah.
That's why many activities have no clear goals, and because of that things, yes, people only told about comes to church and solve and give health. Yeah, but on the other hand, they are not told about one faith matter.
Yeah.
And what kinds of life is wrong for livings, and why sufferings can have meanings. They don't talk about that.
Yeah.
And Christians, how can the church help young people understand why faith truly matters?
Well, how can church help to know that faith really matters? So, in order to question that, you must know why churches matters. Churches to make sure that why churches in order to know that how churches can help, churches themselves has to have the clarity of mission. So how do you have that? In order to do it, you must have a clear filter based on, as I said before, the concept of teleology and integrations with theology. If you do that, you will have a certain successful looking programs, and you can reject them, and you can know about their purposes and whether they are ambiguous about their purposes, and only focus on the materialistic manners, materialistic approaches and materialistic qualities, or are they really doing some things in order to change peoples around them, or to the participate that has entered the room, entered the conference event in order to know something. That is very important, because if you know them very well, you can have such a dramatic filter that could be accessing through every activity, every approaches, every intrigue, interactions that you do with every other people. And when churches can do that, churches can share, churches can, pass through the knowledges, pass through the maturity that they have on the young children's, not to pressure them entirely, but to make sure that the young children are preserved for such knowledges and to be able to comprehend the materialistic gains, materialistic contents of the world that most churches have famously intended for. So when you do such thing, when you have this particular activity, the churches can help young people, especially to the young populations that is knowing to be becoming more and more intrigued in the knowledge themselves. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So I'll talk later about the young and future generations. So if theology has been passed on to the young people, what can happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when young people has this particular teleology through the churches, one can state that the churches and its particular purposes has been accomplished. As we have said before, the young people shall know about the things, about the qualities that they have been wishing for, and separate whether it is a materialistic gain, idealistic manner, pragmatic approach, or centralized on being able to know Christ and to become in depth with what Christ has planned for. So these are truly important if the young children were to know about it as well, because most of the young generation doesn't really look for the comfort or the trending looks of churches.
Yeah.
They are looking entirely for the life worth opportunity. They are not looking for such things like, oh, this is flashy, this is good. They are not looking for that. They are looking whether this Christianity and its quality are worth dying for, suffering for, or are worth, giving time for. So if you know such things, these future generations could be a great impact on churches and to the future generations that they will upheld upon. So what about you? How do you take on that?
If the church taught clearly purpose, the young people will know their directions, and also their faith will be deeper
Yeah.
than they think. And the main thing is sufferings. Sufferings will make things for them and their life. Yeah. But why? But how can understanding the purpose help young people face sufferings?
How can what?
How can understand purpose help young people to face sufferings?
Well, it's simple. It's based on doing things called, for example, planets and suns. So when the sun and the planets are to be interacting with each other, the planets does not really rely on does not know about the purposes of the sun itself, but the sun continues to make gravities for the planets to swirl around for. But what it means is that if the planets were to know about it, for example, for us to know about God centralizing on swirling about that, we can know that if we are to be mislaid upon like planets, there will be gravity that will make us, the ultimate purpose, gravity, will turn us around and make sure that we don't suffer as these, false dilemmas did. So, if you know about such things, these young generations know what they're dying for, know what they're suffering for, know what their ultimate purpose for. If you know that, as the sun goes, as the planets swirl around it, they, as planets, know about what we are swirling around for and what our latest purpose will be. And as a result of all, the Christian theology is based on becoming Christ-like. So that's why important, actually.
Yeah, a good point. Theology means life and faith have a clear purpose from God, right?
Yeah.
So, what kinds of church guys live instead of only running programs?
What kind of churches? So, the kind of church that is based, that knows and matured teleology and integrated with theology and making sure that they are not based on the flashy trends and really based on becoming Christ-like and becoming more focused on changing lives and changing people. So this kind of life could change life. So yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's all right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to say more of that?
Yeah. Many churches today are not wrong in belief, right?
Yeah.
And the main point is that they are unclean in their actions. So if the church teaches theology to the young people will have hopes and faith will have meanings, and also the church will guide. The church will guide by theology meanings, not just running programs, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.